Albert Einstein. He was born on a cold March morning in the quiet city of Ulm. The room was simple and silent when he opened his eyes for the first time. His parents looked at him with gentle hope, not knowing that this calm and quiet child would one day change the way people understood the universe. He did not cry loudly. He did not move much. He only stared around, as if he was already trying to understand the world. As days passed, he stayed quiet. He did not speak early like other children. Relatives worried and neighbors whispered, but he simply observed everything with slow curiosity. When other children played loudly, he watched the shapes of their toys and the movement of their hands. He noticed details that no one else cared about. His mother often said he was thinking too much for such a small child. One afternoon, his father placed a simple compass in his hand. The boy held it carefully and watched the needle move. He turned it slowly and the needle shifted. He shook it harder, and the needle still returned to the same direction. Something invisible was guiding it, and he felt a deep wonder that he could not explain. That small compass lit a spark inside his young mind, and he never forgot the feeling. He grew older, but he did not fit well in school. Teachers wanted quick answers and silent obedience, but he always wanted meaning and purpose. When they asked him to memorize lessons, he wanted to know why things worked the way they did. His questions confused them. He sometimes sat near the window and stared at the sky as if searching for something far away. Teachers thought he was not paying attention, but he was quietly exploring ideas that went beyond the classroom walls. At home, he found comfort in silence. He walked alone. He listened to music. He thought deeply for long hours. People around him believed he was strange, but inside his mind a new world was forming. He asked unusual questions about light, time, and the nature of space. He did not know the answers, but he never stopped wondering. Some days were difficult. He felt alone and misunderstood. Students did not always include him, and teachers were often frustrated with him. One teacher told him he would never become anything important. The words hurt, but they also pushed him to believe in himself even more. He understood that his path was different, and he would have to walk it with patience and courage. He carried his curiosity like a quiet fire. He read books that opened new ideas. He watched the world carefully. He noticed things others ignored. His childhood was not filled with praise or special achievements. It was filled with observation, slow thinking, and small moments that shaped his mind. The world did not see a genius. It saw a slow and unusual boy. But greatness often begins in places where no one is looking. As he grew older, the questions inside him grew louder. He wanted to understand the secrets of light and the mystery of time. He wanted to know why the compass moved and what forces lived in the empty space around him. His childhood was only the beginning of a long journey that would one day change everything. As the years passed, he moved with his family to Munich, where his father started an electrical business. The new city opened more space for his growing curiosity. He watched machines with bright eyes and tried to understand how they worked. When electric lights glowed in the streets, he stared at them in wonder, imagining the invisible energy inside the wires. He was still quiet, but his thoughts were alive and moving fast. School life did not become easier. He respected the subjects, but not the strict way they were taught. Teachers wanted discipline and quick answers, but he wanted understanding and freedom to think. Sometimes he felt trapped by the rules around him. He learned at his own pace and preferred reading on his own rather than following the classroom routine. No matter how hard teachers pushed him, he refused to stop asking questions. There came a time when his family moved again, this time to Italy. The decision was sudden, and he felt confused and left behind. His parents went ahead, but he stayed back in Munich to finish school. The loneliness weighed on him. He missed his family and felt disconnected from the world around him. One day, he made a strong decision. He walked away from school without telling anyone. He could not stay in a place where he felt his mind was being closed instead of opened. When he reached Italy and reunited with his family, he felt a new sense of relief, but also a new challenge. He needed a clear path for his future. He prepared for the entrance exam of the Swiss Federal Polytechnic in Zurich. The exam was difficult, and he passed the science section with ease, but struggled with other subjects. Even so, the school noticed his extraordinary talent and allowed him to join after completing a year at another institution. In Zurich, he found a place where his curiosity was finally welcomed. The atmosphere felt open and alive. He met students who loved learning and teachers who encouraged thinking. His ideas began to take shape more clearly. He spent long hours studying physics and mathematics, but he also enjoyed long, quiet walks by the river. These walks helped him think, and during them he would imagine ideas that later became his most famous theories. Despite his talent, life after graduation was not easy. He sent letters to universities and schools asking for a job, but no one replied. Months passed with no opportunity. He felt ignored and forgotten. He gave private lessons to earn a little money and lived with uncertainty every day. Yet he never allowed his mind to fall into despair. He kept thinking, reading, and imagining. He believed his ideas had value even if the world was slow to see it. Finally, he received a small opportunity at the patent office in Bern. It was not a scientist position. Most people would have seen it as an ordinary job, but he saw it as a place where his mind could stay free. The work was simple and steady. He examined inventions and checked documents. But when his shift ended, he returned home and filled notebooks with ideas that kept growing inside him. Every evening, he sat at his small desk, thinking about light, time, and motion. The soft glow of the lamp guided his pen. He imagined himself riding beside a beam of light and wondered what the world would look like in that moment. He questioned the nature of time. He thought about clocks, trains, and the movement of objects. He did not know it then, but these quiet nights in the small room above the patent office were shaping one of the greatest scientific revolutions in history. He joined a small group of friends who loved discussing ideas. They met in cafes and walked through the streets talking about books, science, and philosophy. These conversations fed his spirit and kept him motivated. He never felt the need to prove himself to anyone. He only wanted to understand the truth hidden behind the surface of things. During these years, he also experienced love, marriage, and the responsibilities of family life. It was not always easy. The pressure of financial struggle and the weight of expectations sometimes made him feel lost, but he continued to move forward. His mind refused to stop thinking, and his heart refused to stop searching. Then came the year that would change everything for him. It was 1905, a year the world would later call his miracle year, but for him it began like any other. He worked at the patent office during the day and continued his private explorations at night. He did not know that four groundbreaking ideas were about to flow from his mind, one after another, like a river that had been waiting too long behind a dam. The story of his rise had just begun. The year began quietly for him with long days at the patent office and simple evenings filled with thoughts that refused to rest. He lived a modest life with very little money and no recognition, but inside him ideas were gathering strength. He walked to work every morning to the quiet streets of Bern, and as he walked he imagined problems and solutions that no one else was thinking about. Nothing around him looked extraordinary, yet something extraordinary was forming in his mind. One night, while sitting at his desk, he felt a sudden clarity. He looked at a piece of paper and began writing about the strange behavior of light. The idea had lived inside him for years, but now it finally found its shape. He wrote about how light could behave like tiny particles and how this discovery could explain the photoelectric effect. He did not think it was special, but that single paper later won him the Nobel Prize. He continued writing, and soon another idea came. He explained the random motion of tiny particles floating in water. It was a simple observation, but the explanation changed the way scientists understood atoms. The nights grew longer, the room stayed quiet, and his pen kept moving. He wrote with a calm focus that came from years of silent thinking. Then came the idea that everyone would remember. He discovered a new way to think about time and space. He imagined two lightning strikes hitting a moving train. He imagined clocks in different places showing different results. He realized that time was not fixed. Time could stretch or shrink depending on how fast someone was moving. It was a thought no one had ever dared to imagine. With a steady hand, he wrote the paper that introduced the special theory of relativity. He was still an unknown clerk in a patent office, but the ideas inside that small room were larger than anything the world had seen in centuries. Later, he took a step even further. He wrote the equation that became a symbol of intelligence itself. East equals mc squared. In that short expression, he showed how energy and mass were deeply connected. It was a simple equation with endless power. These 4 papers, published in the same year, shook the world of science. People who had never heard his name were suddenly reading his work. Professors who ignored him began to discuss his ideas. Journals praised the clarity of his thought. His miracle year had arrived, and he did not even celebrate it. He simply continued thinking, as he always had. With recognition came new responsibilities. Universities invited him to teach. Students wanted to learn from him. Scientists wanted to meet him. He finally left the patent office and stepped into the world that had once closed its doors on him. He became a professor and stood in front of classrooms with confidence. His hair grew wilder and his ideas grew deeper. He explored gravity next. He wondered if light could bend. He imagined the fabric of space stretching and curving. He thought about planet stars and the structure of the universe. His general theory of relativity was born from these long reflections. It was not just a theory. It was a new way of seeing reality. When the theory was confirmed by astronomers, the world celebrated him like a hero. Newspapers printed his name in bold letters. Crowds gathered to see him. His quiet life changed forever. But fame did not affect him. He remained a gentle man who preferred simple clothes, long walks, and moments of silence. He played the violin whenever he felt stressed. Music helped him think and brought calm to his heart. Even when the world called him a genius, he still felt like a curious child holding a compass for the first time. Life, however, was not always kind. He lived through times of political tension and rising conflict. His heart ached for peace, and he spoke openly against violence. When danger grew in his homeland, he decided to leave Europe and move to the United States. It was not an easy decision. He left behind memories, places, and dreams. But he carried hope with him and began a new chapter far from the land where he was born. In America, he became a symbol of wisdom. He taught at Princeton and inspired young minds. Students gathered in hallways just to see him walk by. He watched the world change rapidly. He always smiled kindly. New discoveries appeared. Warmth. His presence brought comfort to many. His own theories, even when he was busy, generations of scientists to letters from children who asked he felt proud, but he also stayed humble. He believed that curiosity should always be encouraged, no matter how small the question seemed. He kept reading and thinking until the final years of his life. Einstein's journey from a quiet child who spoke late to a man who changed physics forever was not a smooth path. It was a road filled with doubt, loneliness, rejection, and difficulty. But he never allowed the world to silence his curiosity. He followed his questions wherever they led him, and those questions reshaped the way people understood space-time and energy. His story teaches that being different is not a weakness. Being slow is not a failure. Being quiet does not mean being empty. Sometimes the greatest minds grow in silence. Sometimes the strongest ideas are born in small rooms far from applause. And sometimes the person the world doubts the most becomes the one who changes it. As the years passed in America, he settled into a life of quiet routine. He lived in a simple house in Princeton and walked the same path to the Institute every morning. People often recognized him from afar because of his wild hair and gentle smile. Children sometimes ran after him on the street, calling his name, and he would turn and wave with kindness. He never wanted fame, yet it followed him everywhere. Inside the Institute, he worked in a small office filled with papers, chalkboards, and books stacked in uneven piles. He spent hours thinking about problems that had no obvious answers. The world saw him as a legend, but he still saw himself as a student of nature. He believed that every question opened a door to another question. He once said he did not have special talent. He only had a passion for understanding. Those words reflected the truth of his life. He was driven by curiosity, never by pride. Even in his older years, he continued to search for a deeper connection in the universe. He wanted one theory that could explain everything. He called it the unified field theory. He worked on it for decades, filling notebook after notebook with ideas, equations, and possibilities. Many of his attempts failed, but he never felt discouraged. He believed that failure was simply a step on the path to discovery. He enjoyed the journey, even if he never reached the final destination. Outside his academic life, the world faced serious challenges. A terrible war broke out in Europe, and he watched with sadness as violence spread. He spoke strongly for peace and encouraged world leaders to choose dialogue instead of conflict. His voice carried weight, but he always spoke with compassion, not authority. When he signed a letter that warned the United States about the possibility of powerful new weapons, he did it with a heavy heart. He believed knowledge should be used responsibly and never for destruction. After the war, he continued to stand for human rights and equality. He supported causes that protected the weak and spoke against discrimination. Many people found strength in his words. They saw in him not just a scientist, but a person with a deep sense of humanity. His beliefs did not always make him popular, but he never changed his values. He followed his conscience just as he followed his curiosity. In his home, he enjoyed simple pleasures. He liked long walks without any destination. He enjoyed sailing on peaceful lakes, even though he was not very skilled at it. He laughed when a boat drifted the wrong way and treated every unexpected moment as part of life's adventure. He played the violin whenever he felt stressed, and sometimes music helped him find answers he could not discover on paper. His friends described him as warm and humorous. He loved telling small jokes and listening to stories. He respected people from all walks of life and never acted superior. When people asked him about his success, he often shook his head gently and said he was still trying to understand the mysteries of the universe. His humility touched everyone who met him. Over time, his health began to weaken. He grew older, but his mind remained sharp. Even in his final days, he continued working on his equations. On the table beside his bed, there were sheets of paper filled with symbols he had written with trembling hands. He refused special treatment and told doctors he wanted to live his life naturally without being kept alive by machines. He believed that when the time came, he would accept it with peace. On a quiet April morning in 1955, he left the world. The news spread quickly, and people around the globe mourned. They felt they had lost not only a brilliant scientist, but also a voice of kindness and wisdom. His ideas continued to live in textbooks, laboratories, and dreams. His name became a symbol of intelligence, but also a symbol of curiosity and courage. Scientists built upon his theories and explored the universe with new tools. Space mission satellites and deep discoveries followed the path he had opened. Every time someone looked at the stars and asked a question, they were continuing the spirit he carried throughout his life. His story reminds us that greatness can rise from the most unexpected places. A quiet child who spoke late became a man who gave the world a new understanding of reality. A student who struggled in school became a teacher to generations. A clerk in a small patent office became a thinker who changed history. Einstein's life shows that imagination is powerful, that questions matter, and that being different can be a gift. His journey encourages everyone to stay curious, to seek truth, and follow the small spark inside the heart. That spark can lead to discoveries that shape the future. After Einstein's passing, the world entered a new age shaped by the ideas he left behind. His theories were not just pages in books. They were tools that allowed future scientists to explore the universe in ways he once only imagined. Observatories around the world used his calculations to study distant stars and galaxies. Satellites followed paths predicted by his equations. The world slowly understood how deep and valuable his contributions were. In classrooms, teachers spoke about him with admiration. Students listened and wondered how a person could think so differently. Some young minds felt inspired to explore science because they wanted to understand the world the way he did. Others found comfort in knowing that even someone called slow or strange could become a great thinker. His life became a reminder that talent grows quietly and that curiosity is a powerful force. As the years passed, people began to understand the deeper meaning of his work. His ideas about light and time changed physics, but his views on humanity changed hearts. He often spoke about kindness and unity. He believed that the world should work together instead of breaking apart. His words traveled far beyond science. They shaped opinions, discussions, and movements for peace. Stories about his daily life continued to spread. People told tales of him walking with mismatched clothes, completely unaware of the world around him. They remembered how he once arrived at a meeting with his violin because he had been practicing and forgot he had an appointment. These small moments made people see him as a human being, not just a genius. They liked knowing that someone so brilliant could also be simple, carefree, and gentle. In Princeton, his small house became a place of quiet memory. Students and visitors stopped outside to take pictures and imagine him inside reading or writing late into the night. The institute where he worked preserved his office exactly as he left it. The chair sat near the desk, the chalkboard still showed faded equations, and the room carried the calm that had always surrounded him. It felt as if he might walk into the room at any moment and begin thinking again. Time moved on and technology advanced. Computers became more powerful, telescopes reached farther, and people started exploring outer space. Every step forward carried traces of his ideas. When astronauts landed on the moon, they used calculations influenced by his theory of relativity. When scientists sent probes to distant planets, they relied on the understanding of time and gravity that he had introduced. His work remained alive in every mission that reached beyond Earth. As more discoveries arrived, scientists looked back and realized how far ahead of his time he truly was. Some of his predictions were proven many years after his death. For example, scientists detected the ripples in space known as gravitational waves exactly as he had described. When the world heard the announcement, it felt like he had spoken across time, reminding everyone that imagination can see the invisible long before it becomes visible. Outside science, people continued to admire his wisdom. His quotes were printed in books, shared in speeches, and engraved on walls. His gentle advice encouraged people to stay curious and to keep learning. His belief in peace inspired leaders and activists. His warnings about the misuse of power reminded the world to be responsible with knowledge. He became more than a scientist. He became a symbol of hope. Even today, when people talk about intelligence, they think of Einstein. When they mention creativity, they remember how he used imagination to solve problems. When they speak about courage, they recall how he stood for justice, even when it was difficult. His legacy expanded far beyond his theories. It touched countless lives both inside and outside the world of science. Generations of children grew up seeing his portraits in their school books and posters. They learned that success does not always begin with perfection. Sometimes it begins with silence and doubt and slow steps. Einstein's childhood struggles encouraged them. His late speech development gave them confidence. His determination reminded them that a single question can become a lifelong journey. In every corner of the world, there are people who continue to dream because his story told them it is possible. They look at the stars and imagine new possibilities. They study the laws of nature with curiosity. They search for answers even when others doubt them. His influence is alive in every mind that refuses to stop wondering. The story of Einstein's life reached a point where it no longer belonged to one person or one nation. It belonged to humanity. It became a beacon of inspiration that crossed borders and languages. His ideas united people who loved science. His values united people who loved peace. His journey united people who loved hope. Today, his name stands as a reminder that greatness does not come from following the world. It comes from following the quiet voice inside. It comes from seeing beauty in simple things. It comes from believing in dreams even when no one else can see them. Einstein's life shows that the world changes when someone dares to imagine something new. It shows that a single mind can open doors for millions. It shows that questions are stronger than answers, and that imagination is stronger than fear. His legacy continues to guide humanity forward. Every breakthrough in physics, every discovery in space, every leap in technology carries a small piece of his spirit. And as long as people continue to ask questions, his influence will never fade. As the world continued to advance, scientists often returned to Einstein's papers searching for clues that could help them understand new mysteries. His work had opened a doorway into the fabric of reality, and they knew there was still so much left to explore. The more they studied his ideas, the more they realized how deep his vision truly was. He had not only solved problems, he had shown a path for future minds to walk. New telescopes captured distant galaxies, bending light exactly as his theory predicted. Their images traveled across the world and amazed people everywhere. Children looked at those pictures and whispered his name in wonder. Adults felt a quiet respect for the man who had imagined such things long before technology existed to prove them. His ideas had survived time, and they continued to grow stronger as the world changed. In many places, people celebrated his life through museums, lectures, and events. They displayed his handwritten notes, his letters, and even his violin. People leaned over the glass cases trying to imagine what thoughts filled his mind as he created his theories. Some visitors felt emotional because they realized that a man who changed the universe had once been just like them. He had worried. He had struggled. He had felt lonely and lost. Yet he kept moving forward. Einstein had always believed that imagination was more important than knowledge. Years after his death, those words inspired not only scientists, but artists, writers, musicians, and dreamers. They felt encouraged to create without fear. They understood that true progress comes from daring to think differently. His message crossed fields and touched every kind of creativity. Around the globe, teachers used his life story to inspire young students. They told them that it was all right to learn slowly. They explained that mistakes were part of the journey. They shared how Einstein had once been mocked by teachers and rejected by jobs, but still reached greatness. Strong students listened with pride, and struggling students listened with hope. His story gave comfort to hearts that needed it the most. In universities, his theories guided massive projects that helped humanity reach further into space. Scientists built machines that could look deeper into the universe. Satellites circled the Earth, sending information that allowed people to see weather patterns, study oceans, and understand the planet with more clarity. None of this would have been possible without the foundations he laid. His ideas protected lives, helped scientists predict storms, and supported technology in ways people use every day without realizing it. Even ordinary people felt connected to him through stories. They spoke about his gentle smile and simple habits. Many loved the tale of him walking home lost in thought while his hair blew wildly in the wind. Others smiled when they heard how he sometimes forgot his own address and had to ask for directions. These stories made him human and relatable. People felt close to him even though he lived in a different era. Over time, his name became a symbol of brilliance, yet his life taught something deeper. It taught that intelligence is not just solving equations. It is questioning the world. It is observing small things. It is having the courage to think differently. His journey showed that greatness is not born from perfection, but from persistence and curiosity. As decades passed, new generations discovered his work. They searched for videos, articles, and books about him. They were eager to learn how he thought and how he saw the universe. The more they learned about him, the more they admired not only his discoveries, but also his humble nature. He had every reason to feel superior, but he never acted that way. He believed that a person should always remain a student no matter how much they achieved. Scientists continued expanding his theories. They created new branches of physics and developed tools that allowed them to study black holes and cosmic radiation. When they finally detected the first image of a black hole, the world celebrated, and many people remembered Einstein because he had predicted the possibility of their existence long before anyone could observe them. His influence touched medicine too. The machines doctors used to scan the human body were built using principles inspired by his ideas. Hospitals around the world used technologies that would not exist without him. His work helped save lives without anyone realizing the connection. This silent contribution showed how deeply he had shaped the modern world. Through the years, his face appeared on posters, T-shirts, stamps, and murals. Artists painted him with bright colors and soft expressions, capturing the wisdom in his eyes. People kept his quotes on their desks and walls. His words encouraged them to stay curious and to trust the quiet thoughts inside their minds. He had become a guide for people who felt different, misunderstood, or out of place. His story whispered to them that they were not alone. It told them that being unique could be powerful. It told them that the world needs minds that think in unusual ways. Whenever someone felt discouraged, they returned to his journey and found strength in it. They realized that even the greatest minds walk through darkness before finding their light. Einstein's influence reached places he never imagined. Children in small villages heard about him and felt inspired to study. Students in busy cities wrote essays about him. Researchers in advanced laboratories relied on his equations. Leaders quoted his wisdom. Activists repeated his messages of peace. His story traveled far and touched hearts across every corner of the world. The more people learned about his life, the more they understood that Einstein's brilliance was not only in his theories. It was in his humility, his sense of justice, his love for music, and his belief in harmony. His personality made his achievements even more meaningful because people saw a man who carried greatness with grace. Even after many decades, he remains a symbol of what humanity can achieve with imagination, compassion, and courage. His journey continues to teach that the world changes when someone dares to follow their curiosity with honesty and persistence. As time moved forward, Einstein's name continued to echo in conversations about the future of humanity. People realized that his work was not only about understanding the universe, but also about understanding themselves. The questions he once asked in silence now encouraged millions to think more deeply about life. His curiosity reminded them that every person carries the ability to shape the world in their own way. In classrooms, teachers shared how he spent hours thinking alone, and how the quiet boy who once felt misunderstood became someone who offered new ways of seeing reality. Students discovered that he never chased success. He chased curiosity. And because he followed that path with honesty and discipline, success naturally followed him. This lesson became a guiding light for young minds everywhere. Across the world, scientists continued to test his theories. They created experiments that reached deeper into the structure of atoms. They built machines that explored the smallest particles inside matter. Each discovery revealed more beauty within the laws he helped define. They found that his ideas formed a bridge between the known and the unknown. He had left a trail for generations to follow. Writers and poets found inspiration in his simplicity. They wrote about the way he walked slowly with his hands behind his back, thinking about questions bigger than himself. They admired how he approached life with humility, while carrying a mind full of extraordinary ideas. They saw in him a balance between intelligence and kindness. That balance became a lesson for many who believed greatness should be paired with humanity. People around the world began to see that his influence reached beyond science. It touched culture, imagination, and the way people dreamed. Entrepreneurs admired his persistence. Artists admired his creativity. Students admired his courage to be himself. Leaders admired his wisdom. He had created a space where everyone could find something to learn. Families told his story at home as a reminder that children who think differently should be encouraged, not punished. Parents shared how Einstein had once faced doubt and skepticism. They used his story to give strength to their children and help them believe that their uniqueness was valuable. His journey gave hope to families who wondered if their child's slow steps or unusual habits meant failure. It showed them that different paths often lead to the most remarkable destinations. Scientists pushed further into the universe, using tools built on his insights. Space telescopes captured images of distant galaxies shaped by gravity in ways he had predicted. Probes traveled far beyond planets, observing motions and lights through the lens of his theories. Every discovery made the world realize that he had gifted humanity a map to explore the cosmos. As new technology appeared, people noticed how deeply his ideas were woven into daily life. GPS systems guided cars and phones using principles from relativity. Electricity moved safely through networks designed with equations he inspired. Computers process information using theories built on the foundations he created. His influence existed in almost every modern invention, even if people did not see it clearly. In many countries, monuments were built in his honor. Statues captured his thoughtful expression and gentle smile. Visitors placed flowers at these sites and whispered messages of gratitude. Some felt emotional because they knew his ideas had touched their lives in ways they could never fully measure. They felt grateful for the man who had lived with such simplicity, yet given so much to the world. Einstein's story continued to grow because his values remained timeless. He believed in truth, honesty, and the beauty of understanding. He believed that the world needed more compassion. He believed that knowledge should be used to help humanity, not harm it. These beliefs guided many people who wanted to make the world a better place. His letters and writings revealed the way he viewed life. He encouraged people to remain curious and to question everything. He reminded them to treat others with kindness and to value peace. He knew that the world could be difficult, but he believed that love and wisdom had the power to guide humanity forward. His words helped many people face their struggles with courage. As the decades passed, more generations learned his story and felt inspired by it. They saw how his journey began with confusion and grew into clarity. They saw how his early struggles shaped his inner strength. They saw how rejection did not break him but made him more determined. They saw how his love for thinking turned into discoveries that changed the world. Einstein had become more than a scientist. He had become a symbol of what a human being can achieve when they follow their heart despite challenges. His life told people that it is all right to be different. It is all right to take time to understand things. It is all right to walk slowly if the direction is right. His journey reminded them that every great discovery begins with a simple question and the courage to search for the answer. Today, his name continues to inspire millions. Researchers explore new ideas with a spirit guiding them. Children dream of becoming scientists because his story touches their imaginations. People look at the night sky and remember the man who helped them understand its mysteries. His legacy lives in every curious mind and every brave idea. Einstein's life is a story of curiosity, perseverance, and kindness. It teaches that no matter where someone begins, they can reach extraordinary places if they follow their curiosity with honesty and dedication. It also teaches that true greatness is not only in achievement, but in humility and compassion. His presence still lives in the world through the inspiration he left behind. As more years pass, the world continue to discover how deeply Einstein's presence still shaped daily life. His ideas guided scientists who searched for answers hidden in the smallest particles and the largest galaxies. Even though he was no longer alive, his influence grew stronger with each new discovery. Every time researchers found something new, they remembered the man who taught them to look beyond what they could see. People from different countries carried his story in their hearts, like a gentle reminder that dreams can grow in silence. They believed that curiosity was a treasure, and that questions had the power to change lives. Many young students who felt different or misunderstood found comfort in knowing that Einstein had once felt the same. His journey reminded them that their slow beginnings did not define their future. In libraries around the world, his books stayed open on tables filled with notes and bookmarks from readers who wanted to understand the world as he did. His theories were difficult for many, but his life made sense to everyone. It showed that true learning happens when someone follows their own rhythm. It showed that people do not need to be perfect to make a difference. They only need to be persistent and honest with themselves. Einstein's story also touched people who had nothing to do with science. Workers, teachers, artists, travelers, and dreamers found meaning in his life. They admired how he lived without fear of judgment. They admired how he followed his curiosity even when people doubted him. His example encouraged them to trust their own path. Many felt inspired to take risks they had avoided for years. They stepped forward with confidence because his story told them that every step matters. In moments of personal struggle, people remembered how Einstein faced rejection and failure. They remembered how he kept moving even when the world did not understand him. His strength became a source of hope. They realized that progress is rarely quick or simple. It is made through patience, dedication, and the courage to keep going even when the journey feels uncertain. Some people connected with him through music. They listened to violin pieces and imagined him playing softly in a quiet room while thinking about the universe. Others connected with him through photographs that captured his warm eyes and gentle smile. These images showed a man who carried greatness lightly and lived with a peaceful spirit. They showed that brilliance did not need pride or loudness. It could exist with kindness and calm. Over time, his name entered everyday language. People described complex problems as things that even Einstein would find challenging. They use his example to encourage children and to remind each other that intelligence comes in many forms. His story softened people's hearts because it reminded them that every person has potential waiting to be discovered. Scientists continued to explore the universe with tools he helped inspire. They examined distant planets and observed the birth of stars. They sent space probes across vast distances and listened to signals from faraway galaxies. Some of these achievements surprised the world, but none surprised the people who understood how far Einstein's ideas could reach. They knew that he had opened a door that would never close. In many ways, his legacy grew beyond science, into the deepest parts of human life. He encouraged people to think freely and to stand for truth. He showed that humility can live beside brilliance and that compassion can live beside intellect. His life became a quiet message that repeated through generations. It told people that being human mattered more than being perfect. As the world moved into new eras filled with technology and rapid change, Einstein's story remained steady like a guiding light. People remembered his calm spirit in times of fear and his hopeful voice in times of doubt. They remembered how he believed in the unity of humanity and how he wished for a peaceful world. His message of harmony continued to inspire movements for justice and understanding. Children in schools still learned about him with wide eyes. They imagined the young boy staring at a compass and feeling a spark of curiosity. They imagined the quiet student sitting alone wondering why time behaves the way it does. They imagined the patent clerk working late into the night, writing papers that would change history. These moments filled their hearts with hope and encouraged them to follow their own dreams with courage. Einstein's journey showed that life is not a straight line. It is a path filled with obstacles, surprises, and lessons. His life reminded people that success comes from patience and the willingness to explore without fear. It taught them that curiosity is a gift that should be protected and nurtured. It taught them that every person has something unique to offer the world. Today, his influence continues to guide the steps of dreamers, thinkers, and explorers. His ideas help scientists understand space-time gravity and energy. His values help people treat each other with respect and kindness. His journey inspires anyone who feels different or unsure of their place in the world. His story continues because it was never just about science. It was about the human spirit and its ability to rise. Einstein showed the world that true brilliance grows quietly. It grows in questions that refuse to fade. It grows in moments of reflection. It grows when a person chooses to follow their curiosity, even when others do not understand. His legacy teaches that greatness is not about fame or recognition. It is about staying true to the thoughts that come from the heart. In the end, his life stands as a reminder that every person has the power to explore, discover, and create. It reminds the world that imagination can shine through darkness and curiosity can change everything. Einstein's journey tells us that even the quietest mind can hold the brightest light. His story continues to inspire because it carries a simple truth. A curious heart can reshape the world.